Hey, Facebook Live. We are live with Debbie Heiser. Debbie, it's so good to have you with us here today. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. It's such an honor to be on your show, Nathan. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're going to go behind Debbie's TEDx talk. And if you're watching this, it's probably because you're one of Debbie's friends, fans, maybe even family. You can help us defeat the Facebook algorithm by simply wiggling your finger and sharing this, even if it's not a live video anymore. Very, very easy to do and very happy to do it. Now, Debbie, so that you know, this is my podcaster recorder. It's not yet on. That is going to go live in just a moment. Any questions for me before we go live?
No, I'm excited to be on your show. Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, we are live in 3, 2. We are live with Debbie Heiser. Debbie, are you ready to talk?
I am. Thanks for having me, Nathan.
Debbie Heiser is currently an adjunct professor. She coaches individuals and families. She consults with corporations, and she's a frequent speaker and media expert in print, the web, and radio. Deborah is a relentless believer that mentoring changes others' lives. Your talk is called Rethinking, Aging, Mentoring a New Generation. Deb Heiser, welcome to the talk.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
So again, it's Rethinking Aging, Mentoring a New Generation. I love this. You walk on stage and you say that, basically you hate going to parties because when you go to parties, everybody walks away from you because you're the aging specialist. You're the person that deals with all that. And it's not fun to talk about. It's not small talk. It's not good networking talk. And it was a pretty good opening joke. Please, Debbie, take us behind the talk.
Sure. Well, I wanted to be able to convey that when I go to cocktail parties, and this is real, most people are excited and interested to find out what people do. As soon as they find out I'm an aging specialist or I'm an aging researcher, their eyes glaze over. Their eyes dart around the room, and they're looking for anyone who can help them to escape having to talk with the most boring person in the world. And so that went over pretty well in the talk. I have to say it was unexpected, I think, from the audience. So it was the truth, and it went over well.
Well, and I would imagine it wasn't that much of a surprise for you that it would be a great opening line, get a nice laugh out of the audience, because we're not expecting it. It absolutely relates, and it's kind of one of those things. Perfect lead-in for you, because what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about it's not quite a taboo, but it's something that a youth obsessed society like United States and Western society and westernizing developing nations are more youth obsessed nations. So we're not going to talk about youth. We're going to talk about, getting closer to the great beyond. And so we all have a laugh about that. Is that something that you had pretty much banked on, bet on, and put with that in mind, or was it more serendipitous for you?
Well, I wanted to use that, and I really felt good about it. And then the speaker coaches, when we had a meeting, said, "Don't do that. It makes you sound really lame."
What?
Like no one likes you. And I said, "Let me keep trying it. Let me just keep trying it and work on it. I think it's going to work because it's real." And so I didn't think it would come off that way, but I think that when I was reading it in the beginning, it sounded really lame. But once I was able to actually speak it the way I felt,
Hmm.
then it came across the way I wanted it to.
This is really important because we'll get in the Blitz Round here in a minute about the actual process, what it looks like. But any solid TEDx organization that's been doing this for a few years, a lot of times they will have speaker coaches there, or who are volunteers, as not to be confused with paid speaker coaches or TEDx coaches who have actually given TEDx talks themselves and are there to help you, instead of kind of like a like a seller's agent when you're buying a house. You've got coaches that are there to kind of help the organization make sure that everybody is getting in line within the parameters, and then you've got the agents that are going to help you when you're buying a house instead of the seller. And it's kind of like that. You should almost have two sets of coaches right there. But I love how it all worked out. I love that you had faith in yourself and that final delivery that it was actually going to land. Do you think it was a little different when you started out? Did you read it? I mean, were you just kind of reading? Was the rest of it kind of, I mean, it's the first draft, so it's not an easy thing.
No, the first draft was awful. I loved it. And I thought, this is great. And all of my friends were very polite and said, "Oh, nice." But then the speaker coaches made it real, and so I just made it sound like they said, "Boo, go away with it." But they had to hear all the rest of the stuff that I was saying also, and I think that what they did was they helped me cull it down and take. I come from a research background, so I want to throw in everything. So I think that what they did was they helped tweak it, and they made me go back and really look at it and try to make it as lean as possible so that it could work. So they did help. They were tremendously helpful. But in fact, they didn't like that in the beginning.
Well, and the funny thing is they didn't like it. You loved it. And the first draft is always tough. But talk us through the process that you just kind of trimmed back, edited back your talk. It sounds like you had a script. A lot of the better organizations really require you to fit into their process as opposed to just kind of winging it and having 5 or 10 different superstars that all have their own different way. The better organizations are really going to make you jump through their hoops. Or else possibly be cut from the team that I've seen before you actually get a chance to talk, even though you're already accepted. What did that honing process and scripting process and revising process look like for you, Deborah?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll be quite honest. It was stressful for me because it felt very personal in a lot of ways. When you're speaking about something or that you have an idea that you're passionate about, that you really feel connected to, when people don't like it or give feedback that's not positive, it felt it I had to look within myself and say, okay, what they're saying, there has to be something here. And this was throughout it. So they did put us through a process where they said, okay, here's the first draft. Then they said, okay, let's get it down. Let's get it down. Let's take out every 3 sentences. Now meet with 2 people, meet with the group. It was really great because if I had presented what I came out with first, it wouldn't have been a decent talk at all. And I thought it would have been. And I needed someone to say, here's my perspective from somebody who's not in the aging field and someone who's not a researcher. You have to make it sound in a way that we can understand you. And they did that, but it was a long process, a weekly meeting.
Well, thanks for contributing and committing to the process. Let's get back into your primary, field of expertise. A lot of people don't know this, but 20 years ago, I actually had a business and I would go into senior facilities and I would actually bring these reminiscence groups together. I do research on, pop culture icons from their generation, from the 30s, 40s, maybe even 50s. Actually, I might have done the 20s back because this was 20 years ago. And it was just amazing how people opened up. And unfortunately, that all came to an end when all of the senior living nursing homes started consolidating their budgets and gobbling one another up about 20 years ago. But it was just such a fun thing. Talk to us a little bit. I think what most people are interested in right now, Debbie, is making sure that we're taking the science that we know right now to make sure that we're not doing bad things to our minds and setting ourselves up for, mental issues or dementia or things like that. What's the most recent science or things that you're up on saying about what we can do to prevent that? And then I'd love for you to kind of take over and tell us a little bit more about some case studies, your courses that you teach, your classes at university, and kind of summarize the work that you do, or perhaps start out with that and then answer my question later.
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of research out now, and it's really changed in the past 20 years. What we do know is that, and it's kind of more recent that people in the public know about it, but that is that we can expect to be happier as we grow older. This came from a lot of the research from the Harvard longitudinal study. It's a 75-year study that having meaningful connections lead to better, physical and emotional outcomes later. Laura Carstensen from Stanford has been looking at how we become happier as we get older. So her research out of Stanford, there's, a plethora of this that we have. So the things that we really know now that are newer, that affect our physical and emotional well-being, no matter what our state, is that being connected with others is truly immensely important. And research shows that across the board, not just Laura Carstensen's or the Harvard longitudinal study, but a lot of different researchers are talking about the same sort of thing in a lot of different ways. And that's new.
So our relationships are actually making us happier as we go on through life, even though relationships usually can make us really miserable if they are difficult relationships, and if there's drama, and if there
It's
all of those
meaningful
things. Isn't that nice? Isn't that
It is.
nice that it kind of flips at some point? Is there a particular age, or is it after retirement, or
Yeah.
after the empty nest, or what are there demarcation points?
Yeah, there's meaningful connections are good always. It's not um, having a lot of connections. It's not
Mm,
quantity, it's quality.
mm.
So I like to talk about it in terms of I call it the Ebenezer Effect. This is just my way of talking about it, but you can, Ebenezer Scrooge from Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol talked about how, I talked about how he had everything. He was a rich guy. He lived in a mansion. He had servants taking care of his needs, but he was miserable, and no one liked him. And it wasn't until he had meaningful connections and that he sort of felt like giving back to others that he experienced joy. And that's exactly how it works in real life.
I love
There,
that analogy. That is great because I mean he did have a buddy. He had Jacob Marley, but then he died and he got all chained up. So it wasn't he didn't have any companionship except for Bob, and Bob was secretly disengaged worker who was resenting the working conditions. So
that were
he had to turn it
opposed.
around. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
That's great because the time of year that we're recording this is the season to be thinking about this. So it's absolutely perfect.
So that is in film in a lot of different ways where people hit this, and it's usually right around 50s, 60s that people hit this. It can be earlier or later for anyone,
Mhm.
but this is where the arc goes up for happiness.
Hmm.
And so this is really because we're at a point in our lives where we say, "Hey, I know who I am. Hey, I know I have skills and talents. I've been honing them my whole life. I've been taking care of these things and I know what I'm doing. Now I've checked all my boxes. Now, how do I make sure that I didn't just exist on the earth and my life had no meaning?" So this is where this kicks in, and this is why we all have this kind of feel good feeling that's different than when we're younger.
I love it. Well, we've been enjoying this conversation with Deborah Heiser, and her talk is called "Rethinking Aging: Mentoring a New Generation." And we're going to be right back in just a moment with the Blitz Round. And we're back with Deborah Heiser. It is time for the Blitz Round. We're going to ask Deborah a series of either or questions related to the preparation and performance of her recent talk. Deborah, are you ready?
I'm ready.
First off, were you invited to speak or did you apply?
Someone told me that I should apply, and then I applied. But I had him as my sort of guide throughout it.
What advice do you have for the rest of us who are also trying to get accepted?
Have a passion, talk about or pitch something that you're really passionate about, because that comes through really in a strong way as long as you have a passion.
Debbie, are you a memorizer, improviser, or a blender in terms of your preparation?
Uh, it was required that I was a memorizer, which scared me, but it was great that it was done that way in the end.
What's a tip, tool, or technique that actually helped you prepare?
Have a good social support network, someone or several people that you can talk to throughout it that will not shut the door when you talk about it endlessly, that will listen.
Were you an opener? Were you a closer? Or were you set in between in terms of the order?
I was third out of 10.
What advice do you have for other in-betweeners?
While you're waiting, don't don't sit out and watch the audience, or try to go in the back. That's what I did. Try to stay in the back.
Don't do what I did. I love
and
that.
and try to just relax, and keep yourself in a place where you can focus on your talk, and get yourself grounded before you go out.
So before you go out, Debbie, are you an introvert preparer, or are you an extrovert preparer, or would you describe it some other way?
I would say
Do you,
I'm an
do you like to
ambivert.
ambivert? Okay.
I'm a little of both. So I needed quiet time by myself, but I also needed to get out there and prepare on the stage beforehand several times, whereas others
Mhm.
didn't need that.
Last question. What was the most unexpected, strange, or just plain weird thing that happened during or right before your talk?
Hmm. I'd say that the strangest thing was getting mic'd up. I had never been mic'd up, and I was completely, they said, "Oh my gosh, you have so much hair. We're gonna have to, we don't know what we're gonna do with this." And I was like, "What? We're going on in a few minutes and we're having hair issues?" Like, I didn't, they were trying to like pull it back, and I said, "I'm gonna look like a weirdo. You have to fix this." So
So
they,
there's the Debbie hairstyle, and then there's the Debbie TEDx hairstyle, which
well,
is
no, it was kind
completely
of, my hair was like my usual hair, but
yeah.
they
Well,
were kind of like
it sounded like
bobbing
they
it
were
back or something.
suggesting,
And I
like they
just
were
felt,
trying to do something like really spontaneous with your hair, which is not, you don't want to be doing that when you're giving a TEDx talk. That kind of defeats the
yeah.
whole look thing, right?
So that was weird. Normally I would be like, whatever, but I was so focused on getting out there and had practiced and whatever that that threw me. That was weird.
We've been enjoying this conversation with Deborah Heiser. Her talk is called Rethinking Aging, Mentoring a New Generation. If you want to watch that, you can go to our show notes page at bethetalk.com. We'll have a link to it. We will also have a link to Deborah's website, mentorproject.org. Mentorproject.org. And we're going to be right back with the final word of advice from Debbie Heiser. We're back with the final word of advice with Debbie Heiser. What is it?
Prepare, prepare, prepare. You can't practice too many times. That's my word of advice.
Deborah Heiser, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your wisdom with Talk Universe.
Thanks so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.
All right, that's a wrap. Hey, thank you, Beth, for the like, which is always good to see. We have some little technical issues with some of the other guests, so we're going to end the Facebook Live a little early today. Debbie, you get this Facebook Live all to yourself, which is going to really help you on I think what Facebook is doing now. When you link into me, you'll be able to show this again if you wish as a watch party. And I think
Cool.
that's what, and Facebook, whenever anybody's doing a watch party, because nobody's doing it, because why would you watch a video all over again with other people that are supposedly going to, but that's what they're blasting out right now. So we might
Okay.
just do an experiment. If you tag me, I don't think we're Facebook connected yet. when you do, then I will tag you on this, and then maybe we do a watch party. Just let me know whenever and tag me in that, and we'll see
Sure. That
the
sounds like fun.
results for that. I may be rolling that out for everybody else because I think this Facebook Live algorithm, they don't need to encourage anybody to do Facebook Live anymore. So anyway, so if you're watching this after the case, feel free to comment. Feel free to like, feel free to share. Please do, because you're helping Debbie expand the impact of her amazing talk. Any final words, Debbie?
No, go out and give it a try, because you might surprise yourself and get on the TEDx stage sooner than you ever thought.
Yeah, could happen. Take care, everybody.